Bemidbar, Numbers chapter 1. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the assembly, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Mitzrayim, saying,
Take ye the sum of all the assembly of the children of Yasharel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their polls, from 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Yasharel. You and Aharon shall number them by their armies, and with you there shall be a man of every tribe, everyone head of the house of his fathers. And these are the names of the men that shall stand with you. Of the tribe of Reuben, Eliezer, the son of Shedeur; of Shimon, Shalumiel, the son of Suri-Yeshdai; of Yehuda, Nachshon, the son of Aminadav; of Yisachar, Nethaniel, the son of Suar; of Zebulun, Eliav, the son of Shalom; of the children of Joseph; of Ephraim, Elishama, the son of Amihud; of Manasseh, Gamliel, the son of Pedasdur; of Benjamin, Abidan, the son of Gideoni; of Dan, Achiezer, the son of Amishadai; of Asher, Pagiel, the son of Okran; of Gad, Eliasaph, the son of Deuel; of Naphtali, Ahira, the son of Enan.
These were the renowned of the assembly, princes of the tribes of their fathers, heads of thousands in Yasharel. And Moshe and Aharon took these men which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the assembly together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upwards by their polls. As Yahweh commanded Moshe, so he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. And the children of Reuben, Yasharel's eldest son, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, by their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Reuben, were 46,500. Of the children of Shimon, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, those that were numbered of them, according to the number of the names, by their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Shimon, were 59,300. Of the children of Gad, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Gad, were 45,650. Of the children of Yehuda, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Yehuda, were 314,600. Of the children of Yisachar, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Yisachar, were 54,400. Of the children of Zebulun, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Zebulun, were 57,400. Of the children of Joseph, namely, of the children of Ephraim, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Ephraim, were 40,500. Of the children of Manasseh, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Manasseh, were 32,200. Of the children of Benjamin, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Benjamin, were 35,400. Of the children of Dan, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Dan, were 62,700. Of the children of Asher, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Asher, were 41,500. Of the children of Naphtali, through their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Naphtali, were 53,400. These are those that were numbered, which Moshe and Aharon numbered, and the princes of Yashrael, being 12 men, each one was for the house of his fathers. So were all those that were numbered of the children of Yashrael, by the house of their fathers, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war in Yashrael. Even all they that were numbered were 600,000 and 3,550. But the Leviim, after the tribe of their fathers, were not numbered among them. For Yahweh had spoken unto Moshe, saying,
Only you shall not number the tribe of Levi, neither take the sum of them among the children of Yasharel. But you shall appoint the Leviim over the tabernacle of testimony, and over all the vessels thereof, and over all things that belong to it. They shall bear the tabernacle, and all the vessels thereof, and they shall minister unto it, and shall encamp around about the tabernacle. And when the tabernacle sets forth, the Leviim shall take it down, and when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Leviim shall set it up, and the stranger that comes nigh shall be put to death. And the children of Yasharel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own standard, throughout their hosts. But the Leviim shall pitch round about the tabernacle of testimony, that there be no wrath upon the assembly of the children of Yasharel. And the Leviim shall guard the watch of the tabernacle of testimony.
And the children of Yashrael did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe. So did they. Bemidbar, Numbers chapter 2. And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe and unto El Aharon, saying,
Every man of the children of Yasharel shall pitch by his own standard, with the ensign of their father's house far off about the tabernacle of the assembly shall they pitch. And on the east side, towards the rising of the sun, shall they of the standard of the camp of Yehudah pitch throughout their armies. And Nachshon, the son of Aminadab, shall be captain of the children of Yehudah.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 314,600.
And those that do pitch next to him shall be the tribe of Yissachar. And Nathaniel, the son of Zuar, shall be captain of the children of Yissachar.
And his host, and those that were numbered thereof, were 54,400.
Then the tribe of Zebulun, and Eliav, the son of Chelon, shall be the captain of the children of Zebulun.
And his host, and those that were numbered thereof, were 57,400. All that were numbered in the camp of Yehudah were 100,000 and 6,400 throughout their armies.
These shall first set forth. On the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuven, according to their armies, and the captain of the children of Reuven shall be Elitzur, the son of Shedeur.
And his host, and those that were numbered thereof, were 46,500.
And those which pitched by him shall be the tribe of Shimon, and the captain of the children of Shimon shall be Shalumiel, the son of Surishadai.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 59,300.
Then the tribe of Gad, and the captain of the sons of Gad shall be Eliasaph, the son of Reuel.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 45,650. All that were numbered in the camp of Reuven were 100,050 and 1,450 throughout their armies.
And they shall set forth in the second rank. Then the tabernacle of the assembly shall set forward with the camp of the Leviim in the midst of the camp. As they encamp, so shall they set forward, every man in his place by their standards. On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim, according to their armies. And the captain of the sons of Ephraim shall be Elishama, the son of Ammihud.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 40,500.
And by him shall be the tribe of Manasseh. And the captain of the children of Manasseh shall be Gamliel, the son of Pedastur.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 32,200.
Then the tribe of Benjamin, and the captain of the sons of Benjamin shall be Abidan, the son of Gideoni.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 35,400. All that were numbered of the camp of Ephraim were 100,000 and 8,100 throughout their armies.
And they shall go forward in the third rank. The standard of the camp of Dan shall be on the north side by their armies. And the captain of the children of Dan shall be Achiezer, the son of Ammishaddai.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 62,700.
And those that encamp by him shall be the tribe of Asher, and the captain of the children of Asher shall be Pagiel, the son of Okran.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 41,500.
Then the tribe of Naphtali, and the captain of the children of Naphtali shall be Ahira, the son of Enan.
And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 53,400. All they that were numbered in the camp of Dan were 100,050 and 7,600.
They shall go hindmost with their standards.
These are those which were numbered of the children of Yashrael by the house of their fathers. All those that were numbered of the camps throughout their host were 600,000 and 3,550. But the Leviim were not numbered among the children of Yashrael, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. And the children of Yashrael did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe. So they pitched by their standards, and so they set forward, everyone after their families, according to the house of their fathers. Bemidbar, Numbers chapter 3. These also are the generations of Aharon and Moshe, in the day that Yahweh spoke with Moshe in Mount Sinai. And these are the names of the sons of Aharon: Nadav, the firstborn, and Avihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aharon, the priests which were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. And Nadav and Avihu died before Yahweh, when they offered strange fire before Yahweh, in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest's office, in the sight of Aharon their father. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying,
Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aharon the priest, that they may minister unto him. And they shall guard his watch, and the watch of the whole assembly before the tabernacle of the assembly, to do the service of the tabernacle. And they shall guard all the instruments of the tabernacle of the assembly, and the charge of the children of Yasharel, to do the service of the tabernacle. And you shall give the Leviim unto Aharon and to his sons. They are wholly given unto him out of the children of Yasharel. And you shall appoint Aharon and his sons, and they shall guard their priest's office, and the stranger that comes nigh shall be put to death.
And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe, saying,
And I, behold, I have taken the Leviim from among the children of Yasharel, instead of all the firstborn that opens the womb among the children of Yasharel. Therefore the Leviim shall be mine, because all the firstborn are mine. For on the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Yasharel, both man and beast. Mine shall they be. I am Yahuwah.
And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, saying,
Number the children of Levi after the house of their fathers, by their families. Every male from a month old and upward shall you number them.
And Moshe numbered them according to the word of Yahweh, as he was commanded. And these were the sons of Levi by their names, Gershon, and Kohath, and Merari. And these are the names of the sons of Gershon by their families, Livni, and Shimei. And the sons of Kohath by their families, Amram, and Yitzchar, Chevron, and Uziel. And the sons of Merari by their families, Machli, and Mushi. These are the families of the Leviim, according to the house of their fathers. Of Gershon was the family of the Livniim, and the family of the Shimeim. These are the families of the Gershonim. Those that were numbered of them, according to the number of all the males, from a month old and upward, even those that were numbered of them were 7,500.
The families of the Gershonim shall pitch behind the tabernacle westward, and the chief of the house of the father of the Gershonim shall be Eliasaph, the son of Lael. And the charge of the sons of Gershon in the tabernacle of the assembly shall be the tabernacle, and the tent, the covering thereof, and the hanging for the door of the tabernacle of the assembly, and the hangings of the court, and the curtain for the door of the court, which is by the tabernacle, and by the altar round about, and the cords of it for all the service thereof.
And of Kohath was the family of the Amramim, and the family of the Yitzharim, and the family of the Chevronim, and the family of the Uzielim. These are the families of the Kohathim. In the number of all the males from a month old and upward were 8,600 guarding the watch of the sanctuary.
The families of the sons of Kohath shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward, and the chief of the house of the father of the families of the Kohathim shall be Elitzaphan, the son of Uziel. And their charge shall be the ark, and the table, and the menorah, 7-branched candlestick, and the altars, and the vessels of the sanctuary, wherewith they minister, and the hanging, and all the service thereof. And Eleazar, the son of Aharon the priest, shall be chief over the chief of the Leviim, and have the oversight of them that guard the watch of the sanctuary.
Of Merari was the family of the Machlim, and the family of the Mushim. These are the families of Merari, and those that were numbered of them, according to the number of all the males, from a month old and upward, were 6,200.
And the chief of the house of the father of the families of Merari shall be Zuriel, the son of Avihail. These shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle northward. And under the custody and charge of the sons of Merari shall be the boards of the tabernacle, and the bars thereof, and the pillars thereof, and the sockets thereof, and all the vessels thereof, and all that serves thereto, and the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords. But those that encamp before the tabernacle towards the east, even before the tabernacle of the assembly, eastward, shall be Moshe, and Aharon, and his sons, guarding the watch of the sanctuary, for the watch of the children of Yasharel, and the stranger that comes nigh shall be put to death.
And all that were numbered of the Leviim, which Moshe and Aharon numbered at the commandment of Yahweh, throughout their families, all the males from a month old and upward, were 22,000. And Yahweh said unto El Moshe,
Number all the firstborn of the males of the children of Yasharel, from a month old and upward, and take the number of their names, and you shall take the Levi'im for me. I am Yahuwah, instead of all the firstborn among the children of Yasharel, and the cattle of the Levi'im, instead of all the firstlings among the cattle of the children of Yasharel.
And Moshe numbered, as Yahweh commanded him, all the firstborn among the children of Yasharel, and all the firstborn males by the number of names, from a month old and upward, of those that were numbered of them, were 22,213. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying,
Take the Levi'im instead of all the firstborn among the children of Yasharel, and the cattle of the Levi'im instead of their cattle, and the Levi'im shall be mine. I am Yahuwah. And for those that are to be redeemed of the 213 of the firstborn of the children of Yasharel, which are more than the Levi'im, you shall even take 5 shekels apiece by the poll. After the shekel of the sanctuary shall you take them, and you shall give the money wherewith the odd number of them is to be redeemed unto Aharon and to his sons.
And Moshe took the redemption money of them that were over and above them that were redeemed by the Levi'im. Of the firstborn of the children of Yasharel took he the money, 1,365 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And Moshe gave the money of them that were redeemed unto Aharon and to his sons, according to the word of Yahweh, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. Bemidbar, Numbers chapter 4. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe and unto Aharon, saying,
Take the sum of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi, after their families, by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even until 50 years old, all that enter into the host, to do the work in the tabernacle of the assembly. This shall be the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the assembly, about the most holy things. And when the camp sets forward, Aharon shall come, and his sons, and they shall take down the covering veil, and cover the ark of the testimony with it, and shall put thereon the covering of badger skins, and shall spread over it a cloth wholly of blue, and shall put in the staves thereof, and upon the table of showbread they shall spread a cloth of blue, and put thereon the dishes, the spoons, the bowls, and covers to cover withal, and the continual bread shall be thereon. And they shall spread upon them a cloth of scarlet, and cover the same with a covering of badger skins, and shall put in the staves thereof. And they shall take a cloth of blue, and cover the menorah, 7-branched candlestick, of the light, and his lamps, and his tongs, and his snuff dishes, and all the oil vessels thereof, wherewith they minister unto it. And they shall put it, and all the vessels thereof, within a covering of badger skins, and shall put it upon a bar. And upon the golden altar they shall spread a cloth of blue, and cover it with a covering of badger skins, and shall put the staves thereof. And they shall take all the instruments of ministry, wherewith they minister in the sanctuary, and put them in a cloth of blue, and cover them with a covering of badger skins, and shall put them on a bar. And they shall take away the ashes from the altar, and spread a purple cloth thereon. And they shall put upon all the vessels thereof, wherewith they minister about it, even the censers, the flesh hooks, the shovels, the basins, all the vessels of the altar. And they shall spread upon it a covering of badger skins, and put to the staves of it. And when Aharon and his sons have made an end of covering the sanctuary, and all the vessels of the sanctuary, as the camp is to set forward, after that the sons of Kohath shall come to bear it, but they shall not touch any holy thing, lest they die. These things are the burden of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the assembly. And to the office of Eleazar, the son of Aharon, the priest, pertains the oil for the light, and the sweet incense, and the daily meat offering, and the anointing oil, and the oversight of all the tabernacle, and of all that therein is, in the sanctuary, and in the vessels thereof.
And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe and unto El Aharon, saying,
Cut ye not off the tribe of the families of the Kohathim from among the Leviim, but thus do unto them, that they may live and not die. When they approach unto the most holy things, Aharon and his sons shall go in, and appoint them every one to his service and to his burden. But they shall not go in to see when the holy things are covered, lest they die.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome to the Virtual House Church. I'm your host, Rob Skiba, and I will be joined today with Jake Grant will be joining us, and I think Juan Carlos will be with us today. I haven't heard anything from him saying otherwise, but he has not yet signed in, so we're just going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully he will join us afterwards. If you are new to the Virtual House Church, you can go to virtualhousechurch.com as our primary website, and this is a website that was begun back in 2012 and 13. Let me see if I can enlarge this for you a bit. There you go. So we're in the process of updating it, and I'm just doing it week by week, so if you go through all these links all the way up to this week, which is, I got to add 34 there. Numbers week 34. We're starting the book of Numbers today. And this is actually marks the 1-year anniversary of us restarting Virtual House Church for this new cycle. We began a year ago with this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. So if you go back to the top here and just kind of go through the links by way of orientation for new people here, the first link there, who we are, is the About Us page, just a little bit about Sheila and I. And the Virtual House Church store has our calendars, has the new calendar by Kevin and Amanda Roberts. You click on that, takes you to a free PDF right there. You can read all the information about the appointed times as we understand it in that group, and the various Moedim appointed times listed on the calendars and whatnot is there for you to enjoy. If you'd like to get it in print, you can click here and it'll take you right to their website where you can order it online from Kevin and Amanda's website. And down below that is the calendar by Juan Carlos. Same thing, click on that, free PDF. Slightly different way of understanding the calendar, so you can go through and test Juan Carlos's method here. And again, none of us claim the corner on truth. We're not saying one's right, the other's wrong. We're saying this is our best understanding, and you're just going to have to pray about it and test them out and see which one you feel like the Spirit is leading you to follow. Below that are the Torah study workbooks you can get on Amazon, typically faster through them. And you want to save a few dollars, you can get all 5 of them through us. I am all stocked up, so and all of my orders have gone out. Everybody who's ordered so far. So if you haven't received it yet, it's in the mail. Be patient, and should be on the way. Below that are the Torah study workbooks in PDF format, so you can click on those to get them instantaneously. And below that is the Ephraim Awakening DVD-ROM that has all the resources you see here, including the workbooks in PDF format. So that's all available to you there. Our statement of faith, just what it sounds like, what we believe here at the Virtual House Church. Defending Messiah is a very comprehensive webpage, lots of information here for you to check out. And if you want to have a ready defense for people who are trying to give you, and I'm putting air quotes here, documentaries like Caesar's Messiah or Zeitgeist as their reasons for not believing in Yeshua. There's lots of videos and articles here addressing that and many other things, and getting into Isaiah 53 and being able to defend your Messiah from the Torah and the prophets, just as Yeshua himself did on the road to Emmaus, and as Paul was doing in the end of the book of Acts, etc., etc. So as you can see, lots of information for you to take advantage of here on this page. coming out of Babylon, same thing. Ton of information on this page also for new people. What does it mean to come out of Babylon, to keep the Sabbaths and the feasts and all that kind of stuff? What does that look like? Again, lots of videos and books and articles and things for you to check out on this page. So lots of information there. Torah Fellowship is just what it sounds like. If you're looking for fellowship to get with like-minded people who are trying to walk in the ways of our Father and get back to basics and all that, this is a resource for you. It takes a few seconds to load, but this is a plug-in put together by 119 Ministries. And let's see, what's this little island here off of the coast of Madagascar? Mauritius. What is it? Mauritius. Okay, there's a couple people there on this little island here. This is the way it works. You can click on a little dot like that, and here's the person and their contact information. So if you live in this area, they're probably looking for people to fellowship with. Looks like a pretty small island. There's another person over here, Gerald. So that's how that works. And of course, if you live in the United States, there is just a ton of blue dots everywhere. You got to really zoom in to find spaces between them. So if you live in the United States, chances are there's somebody somewhere near you that's also looking for fellowship. So this could be a good resource for you. What about Paul? Many people who don't believe in what we're talking about here will try to quote Paul as their justification for saying what we're doing here is wrong. We disagree. We love Paul. We think he's an authentic apostle, and his writings are, in fact, Scripture, just as Peter himself said and endorsed. And but I don't think I now know, as a result of doing this for over a decade, that you shouldn't read and shouldn't quote, and you shouldn't think you understand what Paul is talking about when you're looking at his writings until you thoroughly understand what he understood. Once you understand what he understood, then go back and look at his writings, and they'll take on a whole new light for you. Because Paul likely had the Torah memorized, and probably many of the prophets as well. So once you understand what he understood, then his writings will take on a whole new light for you. Here are a lot of frequently mentioned issues from Paul that I took the time to write about back in 2013 through 15. Frequently asked questions and commentaries from the writings of Paul. Right there, we've got a whole section right on the book of Galatians. Are we really foolish Galatians for trying to obey Yahuwah? No. And you should pay attention to, again, what Peter had to say to the Galatians when he was writing on this matter. Hebrew Calendars is a page just dedicated to the Hebrew calendars that I mentioned earlier. It also has some other resources for you there, and blogs and stuff dealing with the Sabbath and the feast and stuff like that. And why did this get removed? Virtual House Church live from the Passover conference. I'm not sure why that, or did it? I'm going to have to look into that. I think I mentioned that last week and haven't done it yet. Oh well. When you can search the Virtual House Church website right here for keywords, you can just punch in stuff there and it should take you to anything on the site pertaining to those words if they in fact exist on the site. Yahuwah's Love Letter and Psalm 91 are some really good audio clips right there for you to listen to. They'll be an encouragement to you. Online Bible study tools that I enjoy are listed right here, as well as the Aramaic English New Testament. Great resource for you. We are a listener-supported ministry, so we appreciate all of you who have contributed in the past. It is not an exaggeration to say we cannot do what we do without people like you. Truly mean that, truly appreciate it. Everybody who has contributed to our ministry in the past, thank you so much. And if you'd like to do so now, you can use that button or this address right here to do that. Other ministries, Torah ministries we enjoy are listed right here for you to check out as well, and you might want to support them. A lot of good work being done by those guys. All right, this week's study page is a quick reference page. Each week I update this, and so why is this not updated? That should be updated, and it's not. I don't know why this player is still listing that. Have to fix that. It's always something. All right. Okay, this is right, so I guess I just didn't do the audio player. So this is the ministry out there called Parsha in 60 seconds. Parsha is the Hebrew word for study, and they distill the Torah portion down to 60 seconds, so we'll look at that in a minute here. And below that is the video we're doing right now. This is the live stream we're on, and once we are finished with this live stream, it will be archived here, and this page will remain up for the next week until I update it for next week's study. And then below that is the big button that takes you to our study page, and should have the correct audio player. Yep, there it is. So this is Numbers, Hosea, and so forth. These are the scriptures right here. If you'd like to have them read to you,
The Lord
you
spoke
can
to
just
Moses and
click on that, and you'll be able to listen to all those readings. If you're viewing this on a mobile device, you can click on the big picture right there. It takes you to a more mobile-friendly version of the web page, where you can resize it for like looking at a tablet or cell phone or what have you. So that's a good way to look at the site on a mobile device. While I have this up right here, before I forget, this is the Virtual House Church Discord server. And let me go ahead and copy the link right there. Mods, if you would continue to post this a few times, copy that link and post it throughout the broadcast, I would appreciate that. I'll try to remember to do it again later as well. The link is only good for 24 hours, so it's about 2 p.m. Central right now on May 29th, so that would be good till the same time tomorrow, May 30th. So that's the link to the Virtual House Church channel right there for the. Once you get in here, there's all kinds of different places for you to interact. This is general conversation. This is Hebrew learning right here. Hebrew cosmology right here. Prayer closet. If you've got prayer requests or praise reports right there. Discussions about Paul. Dietary discussions. Torah singles. If you're looking to get into a relationship, as with anything online, I would just say proceed with caution, because anybody can watch this YouTube video, anybody can click on that Discord link, anybody can get in there, and so you should really be careful anytime you're thinking about relationships with people that you're only interacting with on the internet. However, I will say that one of the things that can help in that regard is the voice channels down here, so you can actually put your webcam on and have your microphone and actually see the person you're talking to and hear the person you're talking to, rather than just trusting that whatever they have on their profile or what have you is in fact correct. So as with anything, proceed with caution, but lots of great resources for you to take advantage of in the Virtual House Church Discord server right there. So let's go back to this page right here. So we'll click on the Parsha in 60 seconds and jump right in.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is from Numbers 1:1 through 4:20. It is called Bamidbar, which means in the desert. In the wilderness, in the second month of the second year following the exodus from Egypt, God directed Moses to take a census of Israelite men aged 20 years and up. There were 603,550 in all. Levites could not do military service, but were in charge of the tabernacle. If outsiders came close, they would be killed. God instructed a camp formation to protect the tabernacle. The Levites were consecrated to God in place of all the firstborn of the other tribes. They took care of Aaron and the priests. There were 22,300 Levites total. There were 273 more firstborn of Israel than there were Levites, so God took 5 shekels per person and gave them to the priests. Moses and Aaron took a separate census of the Kohathites between the ages of 30 and 50. They were in charge of carrying all the sacred objects. They were not to see the objects uncovered, or they would die. And that is Bamidbar in 60 seconds.
He's got clips from Raiders of the Lost Ark there. That's cool. Below that are previous year's studies that we did on this week's Torah portion and Prophets in the New Testament from 2013 and 14, 17, and last year. This is where we restarted Virtual House Church starting in the book of Numbers. This is the video we're doing right now. This is a study done by the Way Biblical Fellowship on this week's Torah portion. JP and Charlie. Below that are Ardell's commentaries from Your Living Waters. Highly recommend these. Click on those, print them, put them in a notebook. You'll be glad you did. Really good resources right there. She did 2008, 9, I think 10 for some of them. Study questions are all the same. These are just starter questions to get you going in discussion, especially if you have if you're studying as a family or if you have a small group setting or what have you. And notes from previous years are here, a listing of the tribes, the meaning of their names right there, kind of cool. The lineup in Revelation, the meaning of those names. This is something that I thought was really cool, is when you look at the numbers that were given in the book of Numbers for each of the tribes and their formations around the tabernacle. Of course, this is back when we believe that the tabernacle was rectangular. I now am more inclined to think it was the circular dome tent model that Andy Hoy talks about. If you want to learn more of that, go to project314.org and you can check that out. But either way, whether it's the rectangular box or the circle here in the middle, this is the way it looks when you take the numbers for the tribes in the north: Dan, Asher, and Naphtali, 157,600. The west, you got Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin, 108,100. Reuben, Gad, Simeon, 151,450. Versus what's in the east side there with Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, 186,400. It looks like a cross in the wilderness, camped out around the tabernacle. So I just thought, wow, that's just really cool. Apparently he did some stuff on the Book of Enoch, 2 witnesses, lots of other commentary here dealing with the priests, it looks like, and the breastplate. The stones are on the breastplate there. So lots of cool stuff for you to check out for the study notes for this week. All right, I've done enough talking. Let's go ahead and bring Jake on. Jake, how you doing, brother?
Hey, doing good. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, man. Yeah, good to have you here. Well, like I said, I've done all the talking so far, so I'm going to shut up now and let you take over here. What were your thoughts on this week's Torah portion? And happy anniversary of our first time back on this cycle, going back to the Book of Numbers.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, this was a good portion to get started on, and it's kind of funny coming all the way back around, and now we're looking at it again, and have things we picked up along the way, different things learned, throughout the year, and now I have different things I'm thinking about this year as we look at it once again, which is, I think why we like to do, the Torah portions is just every time you have different eyes, as Yah kind of helps mature you and shows you different things in the Word. But yeah, I remember last time we talked about, I think what I was focused on was the different counting, the different numbers of the different tribes. So there's actually 2 times that all of the warriors are numbered in our Torah, and it's before they had the opportunity to go in the land. After the second year they were in the wilderness, you had all the tribes were numbered, and they sent the spies, and then of course you had the spies came back with a bad report, and then they had to wander the wilderness, and a lot of Israelites died in the wilderness. And then at the end of the 40 years before Joshua took them into the land, they were numbered once again, and that was because throughout the scripture we see that whenever God has the children of Israel numbered, it's often because they're about to go into war. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to show something real quick before I get into kind of my main points that I wanted to talk about. I found this really interesting thing in our Torah portion. It had them number the children of Israel by calling out their heads of the families. And of course, we know that the tribes surrounded the camp of Israel, and they were from, Dan, Naphtali, Judah, and they were all in very specific places. And I know we like to look at the names and the meaning of the names. Yeah. And I saw another ministry actually put together this little graphic I want to show you guys. I'll have it on the screen here behind me. But so these are the names of, if you can see these, these are the names of the heads of each of the families. And if you remember, over on this side, you had like the tribes of Judah. Judah was kind of the head here. And then you had Ephraim over here. And so this was the head of the tribes of Ephraim. And then you had down here, I think it was, I know up here is like Dan, and down here I think was like Simeon. And then in the middle was Levi. But these were the names of each of those tribes, the leader of those tribes. And this is a graphic I borrowed from the El Shaddai Ministries. I saw they were using this. I wanted to show the meanings of these names because it's really interesting. I know we like to look at like the names of the early patriarchs, like Adam down to Noah, mean stuff. And so these names mean the accident of God, a brother of help, brother of wrong, given of God, enchanter, God of his father, peace of God, God is the rock, God is the gatherer, reward of God, God of hearing, and father of judgment. So I'll just you can see the actual Hebrew names that we read through in our Torah portion here in the beginning of Numbers, and then these are the meanings once again. So I thought that was really interesting. I wanted to show that to you guys because I've never looked at the names of the leaders that were called out during this numbering, and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, do you have them in the order that they were listed to see if there's a sentence or a paragraph that comes out of it?
Yeah, so I guess we could just kind of go through and look.
So Simeon, well, you get 3 names actually, which would be interesting too. Let me just go ahead and put the Bible up on the screen here. So I mean, I've already done the Simeon, Judah, Issachar one. So if you go on the Virtual House Church study page, I've got that right here. Reuben, Simeon. So we got the birth order right here, and the sentence that comes out of that. Oops, let me switch this over. There we go. Oops. Okay. So yeah, if you take the birth order of the Israelites here, and you put them together, in the lineup, and just read the names, the definition of the words out as a paragraph, you get, see a son, hearken and listen, he will be praised, for he will bring a reward. Dwelling with me, I shall be doubly fruitful, causing me to forget. Son of my right hand, judge happily the invader who wrestles with you or me. So that's what the sentence would come out to, or the paragraph that would come out to, just to those names. But when we get in Numbers, you have the names of each of these. You have the name of the son of Jacob.
Yeah.
Then you have that one and the son of somebody. So you have 3 names here. So it might be a fun exercise to try to figure out, what does each of these 3 come out to in sentences? What does the leader come out to, and the son of? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm looking at this here, and it looks like we have.
So the first one is
so
Eliezer.
the arrangement of the camp is where we're going to be looking at in chapter 2, and it starts with the camp of Judah, and the chief of the people of Judah being Nahshon, and we see over here behind my head Nahshon is here in the middle, and so that was the first name it shows, and Nahshon means enchanter. And then it mentions Issachar, the chief of Issachar being Zuar. And let me see here. Nahshon, company, those next to him shall be tribe of Issachar, the chief of people Issachar being Nathanael. So Nathanael is up here on top, and that means given of God. So far we have enchanter, given of God, and then Eliab, which means God of his father. It would take a little bit of time to type all these out, but there's definitely another meaning as juxtaposed to the traditional tribal names.
Yeah.
Because he has them name them out. So if somebody wants, we could probably pick it out because it goes east, south, west, north.
That would be a different sentence, though. That what you're showing there, that would give you a paragraph reflective of the marching orders as they leave the camp, right? Because you're beginning with the tribes of Judah and everybody that's on the east, they go out first. So that's the marching order. So yeah, it would be an interesting exercise. We don't want to take up the whole show doing that, but there's I just wondered if you had done it ahead of time, but there's a website, I'll post the link in the chat room, on BibleCenter.org, that has a book that I'm always talking about, the Dictionary of Scripture Proper Names by J.B. Jackson. They have it in digital format on this site, and so you can actually go through, and it's all alphabetized. So like the first one that we see is Eliezer. Let me look at that. So it would be Reuben. Eliezer is the son of Shedeur. So let's just look up Eliezer just so people can see how it works. Eliezer. So you go to E, and then you look up Eliezer, L-E. What's it? E-L-I. Eliezer. E-L-I. E-L-I. My God is a rock. Eliezer. So you'd basically just copy that, my God is a rock, and then go to the next name, look it up, do the same thing. So maybe if somebody out there, or maybe I could do it while you're talking, is just kind of sit here in the background and maybe try to put this together. Because I think that there's probably lots of interesting messages here in each of these orders. I mean, nothing's random. And then you take it a whole other level when you start talking about Torah codes and getting into equal letter spacing and stuff. Like, there's so many cool stuff here. There's probably what I've come to realize is that many times when we come to passages like this, where it's just like so and so begat so and so, or so and so is the son of so and so, you're like blah blah blah. You can't hardly pronounce most of the names, and you're like, it's all Charlie Brown. You're like wah, 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 and you tend to gloss over and skip it, but many times it's a treasure hunt that it can just bring the text so much more alive when you look up the meaning of the names, look at the order that they're given, put it down in a sentence or a paragraph, and see what comes out of it. So I didn't know if you had already done it in advance, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I'm trying to read through here just to piece together kind of the order of the names and how they're given. That's kind of what's taken me a moment here, but so far I'm all the way around to Elishama, and then
are you going by the Numbers 1, Numbers chapter 1 listing, or are you going by the Numbers chapter 2 listing?
So I'm going by so the Numbers chapter 2 listing is where we get these names of the
paragraphs, because of the different listings. Could be interesting. Anyway, I'm not sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that I just think are fun to dive into, to go a little deeper.
Yeah, I mean, the scriptures are this like treasure chest, and I think a lot of people, as we start to study through these Torah portions, we realize that just looking with a fine-tooth comb can reveal some of the most amazing revelations. It's really cool. I wanted to point out through going through this Torah portion, because I'd like to kind of veer off into more of the future prophetic lessons we can get from this numbering of the children of Israel, and kind of get into our half-Torah portion, which is Hosea, because that ties into another future numbering that's coming. But just real quick, I wanted to look at an interesting kind of another example of a numbering, and I always wondered why it was a sin for King David to conduct a census, mentioned in 2 Samuel 24 and in 1 Chronicles 21. It actually goes so far as in 1 Chronicles 21 to say that Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to take a census of Israel. So, in that circumstance, I've wondered why it was a sin for David to take that census. And I also wondered why he would want to take a census. And we read through here in Numbers that part of the way that they would take a census was tied to a monetary amount that was then kind of put forward as a representation of yourself. And then all the money was counted up, and that equaled the numbering of the people. And so whenever we look at kind of what King David did as opposed to what happened here, it kind of seems like, the people weren't, God didn't want the people to go off into war at that time period, at least. And also that David could have been kind of stepping into a little like, perhaps he wanted to make a bunch of money, maybe that's what it was. And that's why it was a sin for him to conducted that census, because it was tied to this monetary amount. And after the people were numbered, we had God gave them the option. He's like, do you want to flee from your enemies for 3 months? Or do you want to be, do you want a plague to go through the people? Or do you personally want to suffer, sickness? And so David chose to let a plague go through the people. And it's interesting that census is something that it would require people to interact with one another, and so that's in a way how I can see like a plague would have passed throughout all of Israel, because they all had to put forward census, payment, so to speak. And I find that really interesting also that comparing it to today's world, 2020 was the year of the American census, right? And at the same time of this census that, everybody was required here in the United States to put forward their housing information, how many people were in their household, where they lived, because that was then going to be used in calculating the monetary benefit that was going to go to each state. At the same time, you have a plague goes through all the people.
Yeah, right.
So I thought that was an interesting kind of parallel to today's world, and a census that was not supposed to be happening, that David kind of had to bear the repercussions for.
I got a question for you, just popping into my head when it comes to trying to correlate these things to modern days. We have noted a number of times on the Virtual House Church that Andy Hoy was the one that pointed this out to me. He's like, you ever notice that world events seem to be mirrored in the Torah portion? And if that is the case, this is preparing for war right here in the book of Numbers. And I can't help but wonder, if there was ever an opportune time to attack this country, it's probably now, if as far as a Red Dawn type of scenario. I don't know if you've seen the latest Army recruitment video that's been produced, but there's tons of just do if you haven't, just do a YouTube search for Army recruitment video, and then do a search for Russia Army and China Army versus U.S. Army. Watch their recruitment videos. It's all about manly men training for war, and ours is a cartoon of women saying, what, I grew up with my two moms, and I learned how to, overcome adversity, and I went to my sorority, and all my sorority friends were doing this, so I thought I should do something too, so I joined the Army. It's a cartoon with LGBT, PDQ, ASAP, whatever, alphabet soup, virtue signaling. And I'm going, we're in serious trouble. If that's if that's the case. So I this is what I kind of woke up to this morning. I was just kind of surfing for stuff, and I'm looking at all this. I'm like, oh man. And then we get to this week's Torah portion, and it's like, okay, let's get ready for war. And I'm going, okay, if life seems to emulate the Torah portion, we're in trouble. As a country, anyway. So I didn't know if you had looked into any of that, or if you had thought about any of that with regard to history repeating itself.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen some posts of little meme shots of other countries promoting kind of their military programs, and it's often like a strong, square-jawed man, picking up his child with his beautiful wife in the background, and it's all like promoting family values and the strength of what you're actually fighting for. And this is juxtaposed to the American kind of model of advertising for the military, which you often see you'll have just like you said, kind of the cartoon agenda laced kind of propaganda, and there's all those. I saw somebody go through a lot of the modern Army kind of recruitment memes and stuff, and you'll have the white husband, right, going off to war, and the wife at home with a multicultural baby, which subconsciously demonstrates that either an adoption happened, which there's no problem with, or while this guy's off at war, his wife got with somebody else and had a different a different looking baby than the husband. And that's the media that's used to promote joining the military here in the U.S. And it's like, man, if they're not trying to, subvert our culture and to push, the weak-minded into, it's a pretty sobering kind of thing when you look at how other cultures are promoting their military and how we are dealing with our military here. But yeah, I do see a significance. For one reason, we see here at the beginning of Numbers, the timeline of when this count actually happens is prophetic in itself. We see that Moses took to the people in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of meeting on the first day of the second month in the second year that they had come out of the land of Egypt. So what that tells us is that this happened after the marriage kind of ceremonial stuff that happened. They were in the wilderness and they had that whole year with their husband. And we see that there's a commandment actually for men to spend 1 year with their bride. Let me look that up real quick. And that is Deuteronomy 24:5, and it says, if a man has recently married, he must not be sent to war or have any other duty laid on him. For 1 year, he's be able to be free at home to bring happiness to the wife he's married. Like basically a year-long honeymoon, which is kind of cool.
It's to establish a family, and and in that time you could theoretically have a child. Establish the family unit before potentially going off to war and paying the ultimate price. At least you have perpetuated your name.
Yeah, exactly. And not only is that a significant thing in itself, preparing the people to go into war, but also you have the words of Yeshua. The coming of the Son of Man will be likened to the days of Noah, and we know that the flood that he kind of prefaced some other end times events happened in the second month. On the 17th day of the month is when the flood waters came and lifted the ark up and took it away. So we have a significance here of the second month being called out. And let me think here.
You also have the second Passover, which I'm sad to say I think I missed it. And I don't even quite know how you reckon the second Passover. Is it to be 30 days after the first Passover, or do you wait for the next new moon, count 14 days, and do it on the 14th day following the new moon of the month following the first Passover? Do you know what I mean? Because that wouldn't necessarily be 30 days. Either way, it would have been this past week, and I just kind of realized it yesterday. I'm like, uh-oh. Because I missed the first one because I was in Florida, and I was like, well, I'll just do the second one, and I think I missed the second one because I forgot. but honestly, I'm not even quite sure. Are you versed enough to say how you do the second Passover? I mean, do you know what I mean? Is it directly 30 days, or is it wait for the new moon, count 14 days, and do it on the 14th day of the next month?
Well, that's where I'm at. Is just waiting till the next month, and then waiting till the 14th day of the second month of the year. This year we actually ended up doing, I think in total we did like 3 or 4 Passover gatherings. We did
you did them all. You got them all covered.
Yeah, we did it. We did as many as we could. There was actually a second Passover event, I think 2 days ago. Which was interesting because that second Passover, that evening or that high day would have landed when that big blood moon happened. So I actually got called by I was reminded because we weren't keeping this second Passover, but Jacob James, who was at that Passover in Missouri, called me up and he was like, yeah, we're out here again keeping second Passover, and I talked to him for a little while, but
so he was there for the flood?
Yeah, it was just interesting.
He was there for the big flood thing that you guys went through?
Yes,
oh,
he
wow.
was.
I didn't realize that he had gone to that too. Wow.
Yeah. For those who aren't familiar, he's one of the gentlemen who was interviewed on the Way documentary, and he's plugged into a lot of different little groups and congregations.
Yeah,
so he's a really great guy. Really like Jacob.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to point out that that's interesting that if second Passover is when they were numbering the children. And if this last week was in fact second Passover, whatever calendar, that turns out to be, then it did have a interesting sign in the sky, which was that big blood moon. And I saw this great graph that showed that this blood moon that just happened this week is a significant one in a sequence of blood moons that included the eclipses that have happened since 2017. So I think they were making the point that this blood moon is like the halfway point. Excuse me, to kind of a series of interesting signs in the sky. But with that said, I do think there's definitely a significant prophetic significance to the Torah portion being about numbering, and I wanted to read something from the Apocalypse of Ezra, Fourth Ezra or Second Esdras, and I wanted to tie this to something we see in the Book of Revelation of the numbering of the 144,000. So, just like here in Numbers, we have the children of Israel being numbered for war. We have another example of people being numbered in the Book of Revelation for the 144,000. So you had 12,000 from each tribe. And so that to me kind of indicates that the 144,000 are some type of military force.
Yes, agreed.
In the Book of Revelation. I think there's something interesting there. And I wanted to read this in 4th Ezra chapter 2, and it's tied to this numbering of the 144,000, and as well as being invited to the marriage supper and the feast of Yahuwah, where people are given this great reward of being found worthy to stand before the Son of Man, as he told us we're supposed to be praying. And it says this in 4th Ezra. This for a little preface, this was included in the original King James Bible. It was removed, with some of the other apocrypha later on, but the Apocalypse of Ezra actually was in our scriptures at some point. And it says this in chapter 2, verse 38. Arise up and stand. Behold the number of those sealed in the feast of Yahuwah, which are departed from the shadow of the world and have received glorious garments of Yahuwah. Take your number, O Zion, and shut up those of yours that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the Torah of Yahuwah. The number of your children whom you longed for is fulfilled. Beseech the power of Yahuwah, that your people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed. So just pause right there. There's several instances in these few verses that mention a specific number, a number of those that are to be sealed in the feast of Yahuwah in verse 38. Now, these are the people that have been clothed in glorious garments, clothed in white, and we see a lot of that in the first few chapters of the Book of Revelation of, overcome your sins, overcome your troubles so that you will be found clothed in white, not having spoiled your garments. And this is a message to several of the churches in the first few chapters of the Book of Revelation. But it also says, once again, but this is a specific number. The number of your children whom you longed for is fulfilled. So there's a set number, and I believe it's tied to this 144,000. But then it follows this description of these 144,000 possibly. And it follows this in verse 42. It says, I, Ezra, then saw upon Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praised Yahuwah with songs. And in the midst of them was a young man of high stature, taller than all the rest, and he upon every one of their heads set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? And he said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and they have confessed the name of Elohim, and now are they crowned and receive palms. Then I said to the angel, what young person is that crowns them and gives them palms in their hands? And he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of Elohim, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of Yahuwah. So we have
What were you
kind of.
what were you reading from there? What's that from?
This is 4th Ezra or 2nd Esdras, chapter 2.
Wow.
And-
Read that again, because it was actually
Oh,
saying
man.
the son of Elohim right there.
Oh yeah, it's powerful, super powerful. It's
Wow.
one of the most explicit descriptions of the people that stand before the Son of Man and are given the crowns and rewarded. It says again, I'll read it. And I, Esdras, upon Mount Zion, a great number whom I could not number, and they all praised Yahuwah with songs. And in the midst of them was a young man of high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of Elohim. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then I said unto the angel, What young person is that crowns them and gives them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of Elohim, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them for them that stood so stiffly for the name of Yahuwah.
Wow, that's wild,
So-
man. Because I posted some things about the Shroud of Turin a while back, and I'm one who believes that is the authentic burial cloth of Yeshua. I think there's abundant evidence to support that. But one of the arguments I heard against it was he's too tall. They're saying, well, the average Israelite, especially at that time, was like 5'4", and he's 5'10". And you just read from Esdras saying that he was a tall young man. Wow.
Yeah.
And the son of God at that. Wow. But I need to add that to the Defending Messiah page, because there's a powerful, quote unquote, Old Testament witness there that's like, that's kind of point blank.
Yeah, this passage reminds me pretty starkly of the Book of Enoch and how
Yes.
explicit it is
Yeah, right.
in the Son of Man's role in the end times. And so the reason I wanted to read this for everybody and point this out in relation to kind of the marriage supper of the Lamb and this amazing scene where this reward's given out is before he describes this multitude that can't be numbered, he talks about arise in verse 38, arise and stand, behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of Yahuwah, and which are departed from the shadows of this world and have received glorious garments of Yahuwah. Take your number, O Zion, and shut up those of yours which are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the Torah of Yahuwah.
Yeah.
And if this doesn't kind of break down the significant things for believers, faith in the Son of Man, obedience to the Word of God, to keeping His commandments, His Torah, and standing stiffly for His name, this is exactly the description of those in the book of Revelation that the dragon comes to make war with. Those who have the testimony of Yeshua and keep the commandments of the Most High. But this is also tied to, let me see here. An interesting premise that I stumbled across. Losing my pages. Let me see here. Revelation 19:9 says, and the angel said to me, write this: blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, these are the true words of God. And this marriage supper, this marriage feast, is what I'm starting to think that this feast of Yahuwah that it's talking about in 4th Ezra is referring to. And the reason I'm bringing this up in 4th Ezra and I'm tying it to our Torah portion here in Numbers is because the half Torah portion of what we're reading through today is actually Hosea. And I'm going to read through this part in Hosea that talks about the woman who's allured and brought into the wilderness and kind of wooed. And it says here in Hosea chapter 2, verses 14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. And there I will give her her vineyards and make the valley of Achor a door of hope. And there shall she answer as in the days of her youth, as at the time when she came out of the land of Egypt. So he's reminding us that this example, this thing that's happening of him alluring this woman into the wilderness, will be like the time that a woman came out of the land of Egypt. And this is what we're reading about here in Numbers. Yeah. And it continues on, it says, and in that day declares Yahuwah, you will call me husband, my husband, and no longer will you call me my Baal, which means my Lord. For I will remove the names of the Baals out of her mouth, and they shall be remembered by name no more. And I will make for them a covenant in that day with the beasts of the field and the birds of the heaven and the creeping things of the ground, and I will abolish the bow, the sword, and war from the land, and I will make you lie down in safety, and I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you to me in righteousness and in justice, in steadfast love and in mercy, and I will betroth you to me in faithfulness, and you shall know Yahuwah. And in that day I will answer, declares Yahuwah. I will answer the heavens, and they shall answer the earth, and the earth shall answer the grain, wine, and the oil, and they shall answer Jezreel. Wow. Just real quick, I kind of want to look up what Jezreel.
I think it means he shall redeem. I think, if I remember.
He shall redeem. That's that's amazing.
I believe I can look that up real quick.
Jezreel. So this beautiful parallel of a future thing that's going to be happening. Kind of in the same way that we're reading through here, where there's a feast that people are going to be numbered for and numbered at, and then there's this beautiful tie-in with the book of Revelation and this marriage supper of the Lamb.
It means it will be sown of God, or I've also heard planted of the Lord is another one that I've heard is for the definition of that. Jezreel. Let me just make sure that Jezreel. Yep.
So what I was wanting to get at here is also kind of reiterated in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20. And I want to start reading in Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 21. And it kind of sets up kind of a preface. But the children rebelled against me. They did not walk in my statutes and were not careful to obey my rules, by which, if a person does them, he shall live. They profaned my Sabbath. Then I said I would pour out my wrath upon them and spend my anger against them in the wilderness. But I withheld my hand from and acted for the sake of my name, that it should not be profaned in the sight of the nations, in whose sight I had brought them out. Moreover, I swore to them in the wilderness that I would scatter them among the nations and disperse them through the countries, because they had not obeyed my rules, but had rejected my statutes and profaned my Sabbaths, and their eyes were set on their fathers' idols. Moreover, I gave them statutes that were not good and rules by which they could not have life, and I defiled them through their very gifts and their offering up all their firstborn, that I might devastate them. I did it that they might know that I am the Lord. And I thought this was an interesting verse here as I continue reading, that he mentions the gifts and the offering of the firstborn is what we were reading through here in Numbers, that they had to redeem the firstborn above and beyond the number of the Levites, and that instead Yah took the Levites instead of the firstborn, and then they had to pay that above and beyond count for those who of the firstborn. I think it was like 22,000, several hundred, and there was 22,000 Levites, so they had to pay several hundred other firstborn above and beyond the number of the Levites. So I thought that was interesting. He was bringing that out. In verse 27, therefore, Son of Man, speak to the house of Israel and say to them, thus says the Lord God, and this also your fathers blasphemed me by dealing treacherously with me. For when I had brought them into the land that I swore to give them, then wherever they saw any high hill or any leafy tree, they offered their sacrifices, and there they presented the provocation of their offering. There they set up their pleasing aromas, and there they poured out their drink offerings. And I said to them, what is the high place which you go? So its name is called Bama to this day. Therefore say to the house of Israel, thus says Lord God, will you defile yourselves after the manner of your fathers, and go whoring after their detestable things? When you present your gifts and offering up your children in fire, you defile yourselves with all your idols to this day, and I shall be inquired of by you, O house of Israel. As I live, declares Yahuwah God, I will not be inquired of by you. What is in your mind shall never happen. The thought, let us be like the nations, like the tribes of the countries, and worship wood and stone. So just real quick before I read into the more prophetic aspect of this passage, the reason I started a little bit earlier is to help us understand that it was the sin of the children of Israel here after what we see their numbering in the book of Numbers, where they then went and they committed sins, and it caused them to not be able to enter into the Holy Land. It caused them to not be able to take part in this amazing blessing. But not only that, whenever they did get to go into the Holy Land, they committed all these different sins, and their backsliding caused them to fall away from the ways of the Most High. And because of that, they were spit out of the land. Basically, they didn't get to stick around. But there's this future promise that we're about to read through in Ezekiel 20:33, which is parallel to what we read in Hosea chapter 2, and also parallels what I read in 2nd Esdras chapter 2 as well. And this is the moment that he brings us into a wilderness experience again, just like he did here, where I believe there's going to be a numbering of warriors before they enter into the Holy Land. And but he says, I'm just going to go ahead and read this in Ezekiel 20, and he says that he's going to make us pass under the rod to bring us into the bond of the covenant. Very similar language to what we read in Hosea chapter 2. But he's going to purge out the rebels from among us. So let me just go ahead and read it, because I'm just trying to paraphrase. But verse 33, as I live, declares Yahuwah God, surely with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and with wrath poured out, I will be king over you. I will bring you out of the people and gather you out of the countries where you were scattered. And with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with wrath poured out, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, and there I will enter into judgment with you face to face. As I entered into judgment with your fathers in the land of Egypt, so will I enter into judgment with you, declares Yahuwah God. And I will make you pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. So just a pause. Guys, this is the marriage supper of the Lamb. This is the moment he pleads face to face. This, to me, is that same example that we see that man that's taller than all the rest giving crowns. But along with that, you see that there's this big multitude, along with the number of the people that were numbered at the feast. You had Ezra seeing this vast multitude. And these are the people that I believe it's talking about here in verse 37. I will make you pass under the rod, and I'll bring you into the bond of the covenant, just as he did with our forefathers when he brought them out of Egypt. But it says in 38, I will purge out the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me, and I will bring them out of the land where they sojourn, but they shall not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Lord. And so just really quick, to help people understand the context of this and what it means to be purged out, the rebels who get purged out from this group that have the opportunity to stand before the Son of Man, we need to look at Matthew chapter 7. And in Matthew chapter 7 really breaks down kind of this same scenario, but it's from the very words of the Messiah, and kind of what I think is going to happen in this future sense that'll happen in the wilderness, and all these people will be standing in front of them. And it says, Matthew chapter 7, I'll start verse 20. Wherefore by their fruits you shall know them. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. And iniquity is synonymous with the word lawlessness, anomia. In the Greek is anomia. And And this is interesting that these people will also be saying, Lord, Lord, right? And what we read just previously in the book of Hosea is how he's going to make the woman, the bride, the lady he's allured in the wilderness in Hosea 2, to no longer call him my Baal, my Lord, but instead my husband, my Ishi. And so it's interesting that these people that have done these many marvelous works and prophesied in his name and cast out devils in his name are calling him Lord, Lord, and then they're also the ones that he tells to depart because they're practicing lawlessness. And so the reason I wanted to point those out is because there's this beautiful picture we can paint with all of these additional texts, like the book of 4th Ezra, which show this this big scene where he's giving these crowns out and all these people are standing in front of him. But it says in Ezekiel that the people that are the rebels, they get purged out so that they can't enter into the land. And that's what we don't want to find ourselves in that place whenever, if we get the opportunity to stand before the Son of Man and he's in the wilderness kind of making this marriage covenant again, I'm starting to lean towards the idea that this is going to happen before he goes, charging into Israel. Or, it kind of makes me wonder if this moment where he pleads face to face with us happens outside of the land on purpose to parallel what we see here in the book of Numbers of those that are numbered in the wilderness and then are taken into the Holy Land. I don't know what your thoughts on that might be, Rob.
I was kind of multitasking on that, so I missed part of your question.
Yeah, I was just because I understand in terms of timeline. He's supposed to set foot down on the Mount of Olives, and there's the Battle of Armageddon. But I'm starting to lean towards this idea that before he brings these chosen people, the believers that are counted worthy to stand before the Son of Man, that he actually kind of gathers them together in another wilderness situation.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, that is when I started to come off of the pre-trib rapture page and started looking at just the number of scriptures. There's quite a number of scriptures that talk about the second Exodus and what you're referring to, and the parable of the 10 virgins. They go in, not up. They go in to a place of safety, right? So I have come to believe that yes, that the book of Numbers for me now is a play-by-play roadmap of the tribulation period. So when I came from kind of old school dispensational pre-trib rapture eschatology, I had to scrap all that and kind of start over again. And so now I look at end times in the light of the book of Numbers. And like what you mentioned earlier about the 2 times that the people are numbered, and they're numbered specifically for war, and I believe it's the second time at the end of the book of Numbers before they go into the land that it's 1,000 from each of the 12 tribes, so you got 12,000 total. And Revelation is just an amped up repeat of that, where you have 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes, and that they are 20 years and up, so they're men of fighting age. And then I started listening to Zach Bauer and his take on the 144,000 being children, and he brings out a whole bunch of scriptures to justify that belief. I had been believing that they were young people, probably late teens, early 20s. He takes it younger than that. So I'm in agreement with that. And to your point and to your question, I think, yes, there's the second Exodus issue where he brings the saints out into the wilderness, and we have to pass under the rod, and he's going to purge out, and it's that Matthew 7 deal. When I looked at this, I'm like, look, these are people in Matthew. So didn't we do this? That many will come to me in that day and say, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? In your name cast out devils and did many wonderful works? These are people who believe that they're Christians. They believe they're followers of him. But First John, this is not Rob Skiba, this is not Jake Grant talking here. This is the Apostle John. It says, "Those who say they are in him and keep not the commandments, they are a liar, and the truth is not in them." That's Matthew 7. He says, "Depart from me that use the work iniquity," anomia, anti-law. That's huge. That's like massively sobering, and that's what I think is going to happen. This conversation in Matthew chapter 7, I think you're spot on target, is that conversation is probably going to happen in Ezekiel 20. When we are gathered out and we are passing under the rod, and all these people that go psycho on us on a regular basis on social media for daring to gasp, try to obey God as believers. I think those are the ones that this question is going to be asked of them. It's a scary thing. So I do, and it's Revelation 12. That the woman goes out into the wilderness, right? And the devil tries to send a flood after him, and the earth opens up and swallows up the flood. And these are people who have what? The testimony of Jesus Christ and keep the commandments of God. That's who the devil's after, and they're protected. So I had a vision of this a while back. It was more than a dream. It was it was practically like this, wherever room I was in, like opened up and showed it to me. It was like an open vision for me, that I was seated at a long table, banquet table, had amazing food on it and lots of people there, and a very bright glowing figure at the end of the table that I can only imagine was Yeshua. And we were eating this amazing feast, and we were like in a bubble. And outside of the bubble was absolute horrific carnage taking place, like everywhere you looked. I mean, it was just horrible. And I was reminded of the scripture, "I shall prepare a table for you in the midst of your enemies." That there is a spiriting way, if you will, of the body into the wilderness, where they're going to be tested. And I think if we look at the plagues of Egypt, right? If we look at the plagues of Egypt and the plagues of Revelation, it's just amped up. They're the same plagues, and the Israelites had to experience 3 of the 10 plagues. So they had to go through some stuff. But the really bad stuff they were preserved from. So my new eschatology, it kind of informs me that, yeah, we're going to experience some stuff, but then when it gets really bad, and we may be in that season, point blank. I mean, if we look at everything that's happening with the, poking the arm deal right now, and how many people are falling for it and just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And not taking a stand against it, realizing this is your temple, and that's the book of life. DNA, I am absolutely convinced that DNA is the book of life. And as a published author, I don't appreciate anybody misquoting me, and I certainly wouldn't want to look and see my book rewritten sometime by somebody else without my permission. If I saw something that I didn't write, what am I going to do? I'm going to take a Sharpie to it. I'm going to blot it out and say, I didn't write this. This is why I think Yahuwah actually takes a Sharpie to, look, I'm going to have to blot your name out. You messed up the book of life. Your name was in it. I encoded you the way I wanted you, and I posted a video the other day. I posted in the Discord server also because I'm banned from Facebook for a week because I posted this. So if anybody's wondering why I'm not on Facebook, well, I can't do anything. I'm banned for posting this. But this is a guy who worked for Pfizer, who is like one of the top guys when it comes to vaccines, like top guy, and he believes in vaccines. Okay, this is one of the top guys in that industry, and he's saying this is horribly bad what's going on right now, because our body has various an immune system that has the ability to identify a wide range of pathogens and to reorganize itself in such a way to deal with those things. What's happening now with the RNA rewrite is they I don't know if you saw the video, but it shows this guy showing like a football play with a defensive line, right? And the offensive, he had all these different letters. He says what basically effectively this does is it codes your body to it tells your immune system to only look for X and to only be able to fight X. But as these things mutated to Y and Z and other things, you no longer your immune system is overridden to only look for X, so it can no longer fight A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Y, Z. It can't fight anything else because it can only work on X. So I'm going, man, this is I'm not saying that what's going on right now is the mark of the beast, but it's certainly headed that way, in my opinion. It's the perfect microcosm for it. And the problem is now, if they have genetically altered you so that your immune system can only fight X, it can't fight anything else, then what are you going to have to do next when Y and Z come along, or A, B, C, D, E come along? Guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to get another thing injected in you to identify A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And each one of these things are patented. Now, all you have to do is look at a certain industry and a certain company that begins with an M and ends with an O that is taking over the seed industry, that as soon as they genetically modify wheat or corn or whatever, and it gets into your field, by air, pollen, bees, whatever, it gets into your field, they can shut you down and get you for trademark, infringement, because they have genetically altered it such that that plant is now owned by this company. And you now, those of you who are running to this jab, are putting something in you that is trademarked, that is legally owned, which means now you have been permanently rewritten with a different owner that can claim ownership of you. I have codes in me that was written by Yahuwah. It's his code, and I'm not changing that. Take my head off. I'm not changing it. So I'm getting on a bit of a soapbox here, because, as we said earlier in the show, what if this is all, the Torah portions are lining up with world events, and these are things we need to be paying attention to. If we need to be gearing up and be getting ready to effectively go to war here, spiritually speaking as well as physically speaking, there's a lot of things we need to be aware of. And for me, it's like, I want to be every bit on his page. And I think a big part of that is a testing that's going to happen in the wilderness. He's going to take us all out, those who claim to believe in him. He's going to bring us to a place. We're going to be tested under the rod, blah, blah, blah. And there's only some of us who are going to make it. The rest are going to get, hey, I don't know you. You're a worker of lawlessness. I don't claim to be perfect. I hope I'm in the group that gets accepted. I pray that all the time. Father, I hope I'm getting it right. You know what I mean? And so I do believe that there is a rapture, but as Jesus himself said, Yeshua said, after the tribulation of those days, you'll see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Where do we meet him at the harpazo, at the rapture? Paul says we meet him in the clouds. And we meet him in the clouds when? After the dead in Christ rise first. When did the dead in Christ rise first? Revelation 20:21. Read that. It tells you when the first resurrection is. So I believe the only reason we were lifted up off of the earth is because he has to torch the place. He has to set the place on fire. So Noah was lifted up on the water, and everything else was washed away, and then he was let back down again. We're going to get lifted up into the clouds, place going to get torched, we're going to come back down again. So, yeah, I believe in a rapture, but it's at the end. But in the beginning, I think that there is the parable of the 10 virgins, where we go in, not up, into an earthbound place of safety, Revelation chapter 12, where we will be tried in the wilderness. That's my take on it. Kind of a long, rambling answer, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very sobering thing to think as modern believers, right? That what would we do in a repeat of a wilderness situation? Because, that's something, very just recently we went through, is realizing what it's like to not have the comforts of all your belongings and a place to stay, and we saw how very quickly people can get at each other's throats whenever they're under a lot of stress. And it makes me totally understand a little bit more about how the people who were grumbling against Moses, how they could even do something like that, right? They were like, you brought us out to kill us in the wilderness. And those are people that were literally living as slaves before they exited Egypt. Now, let's put that in a modern context. If you had an exodus of Christians, so to speak, come out of our worldly Egypt, our comfort-laden slavery, how much more are we going to be, prone to grumbling? And oh man, it's just so it's a very sobering mindset to be like, do you have a heart that is so, patient? The fruit of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, meekness, self-control. Do you have a heart that is so full of that fruit that if you were put into a similar situation as to what we see these children of Israel going through, that you wouldn't be one of the people cut, pruned out of the group? And that's a pretty serious thing. And I think that's an area that we need to all be trying to develop and strengthening our resolve to be the people that don't get cut off, but instead are like Joshua and Caleb, who were fearless and blameless and going after the kind of the plan of the Most High. And bringing up the pokey poke, I think, we don't know if is the end all be all mark of the beast, but we know that it's pretty much going to happen just like this is happening, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
It's going to be a giant. At first, it's going to be kind of like, ooh, we're going to let you get a free donut, just like how Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of soup. I feel like there's going to be an end times kind of flip of that as Satan or the wicked try to get Jacob, the tribes of Israel, to sell their birthright back for a donut or a free beer or for a chance to be entered into a lottery. Guys, can you not see
Seriously.
how? Oh man, it's just like the enemy is like, oh, I'm so angry that because there's prophetic implications of Esau being in charge of the Holy Land as we know in the end times, and so there's kind of this double dupe kind of coming of the wicked are going to try to trick people into giving up their inheritance in the kingdom of God, and that's what the whole mark of the beast is all about. And I wanted to read something in Revelation 18 or 21, verse 7 and 8. And it says, the one who overcomes will inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But to the cowardly and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and sexual immoral and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars, their place will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur. This is the second death. Then one of the seven angels with the seven bowls full of the seven final plagues came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb." And then you see that picture of the New Jerusalem coming down. But we see very explicitly here, it says that the fearful, the cowardly, are the first that are mentioned that will not inherit the kingdom of God, right? That is incredibly sobering. First of all, let's just talk about our current situation here. Why would somebody get the pokey poke? Why would somebody, wear a mask, for example? Well, it's tied to two things. Either it's tied to kind of a fear that you're going to catch a bug that you don't believe, the God creator of heaven and earth can, protect you from, or you're kind of falling in line just because of social pressure. So, those are like kind of the two reasons people are doing those things currently. It's either for fear or for conformity. And so whenever we look at what the mark of the beast is, let's first talk about what the mark of Yah is. And we have he tells us to set his commandments as frontlets between our eyes and bind them on our right hand, right? Our thoughts are exemplified by our forehead, our thoughts, and our hand is exemplified for our actions. And so in an end times context, there is going to be a period where the mark of the beast is supposed to be on their foreheads or in their hand. Yes, I do think there's going to be something, literal kind of manifesting that. But at the same time, what if it is also kind of parallel to our thoughts and our actions? And so whenever we talk about the pokey poke and what the pokey poke's supposed to do, I kind of love that I'm going down that route with the slight change of lingo to get us not flagged, right?
Right.
But if you're fearful, if your thoughts are fearful that you might lose your life to a virus, then your action would be to go and get that gene therapy, right? And so that's two things. Your thoughts, fear, which, the fearful, the cowardly, the unbelieving will not inherit all the things that we want to inherit, right? So if you're fearful and you go and you participate in something to protect you from what we should trust in our Creator to protect us from, then in a way we are demonstrating an act of worship by going through this whole process. It starts with your fear that then says, I don't believe that God, Yah, can protect me and heal me or keep me alive. And then because you're fearful and you're trying to preserve your life, because of all the fear mongering. I get it, but at the same time, you then go and do something to alter your body outside of the image of what the Most High created us to be. So you're adding to the book of life, your DNA, and you're doing that to preserve your life. And there's several things there that, we know that, we're not to love our lives unto death. And also, if he has our days numbered, there's some interesting examples like, King Hezekiah, he was kind of, preordained, I guess, to die at a certain period, but because he broke down before the Most High, God lengthened his days. But if he can count the hairs on your head, he knows the days of your life and how long you're going to live. And so people that are trying to kind of change his book of life in order to lengthen their days, they're setting up an idol of man's opinion on what mankind should look like genetically. Because, of course, the whole vaccine, the I almost said, the whole agenda has been to demonstrate to us that mankind can do and change the body to do things that God didn't already encode in us. And so imagine, here's idealistic mankind as defined by mankind. This is the idol of what we are all now trying to aspire to, and the only way to become a suitable human is to put that stuff in your body, and that's terrifying. Like when you put it all together, how fear leads us into a type of idolatry. And and what is idolatry? It's saying that the Most High doesn't have it figured out. This idol does, and I'm going to pray and ask this idol to tell me what to do. Right? Well, we don't want to create ourselves. We don't want to turn ourselves or the thoughts and opinions of a pharmaceutical company or the medical industry. We don't want that to become our idol. And I find it very interesting that we have the example of the serpent that was placed on the pole, used as a representation in our modern context as a representation of the medical industry. And the people were to look on that to be healed, but trusting in God to heal them. But later on, that pole with the serpent on it eventually start to become worshipped because the people were trusting on this, thing to heal them versus the Most High to heal them. And then that's when it became idolatry. And so are we today as people worshiping and trusting in the medical industry to be our healer, to be our lifeline whenever a virus shows up or whatever, and is that now become the modern idol that we're all bowing down to? And then the few people that are don't want to put that in their body, they're the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? That are standing in the crowd with their arms crossed, going, I'm not bowing down to this, right, even if they're going to make a vaccine, for every man, woman, and child. So,
hey, Juan Carlos has joined us.
Hey, Juan.
Hey, guys. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Yeah, man.
I managed to hear the last few minutes of the discussion. It was very interesting. What's going on?
Yeah. Jake, did you want to finish any thoughts, and we can let Juan Carlos talk?
Yeah, I'm just piggybacking off of your soapbox.
Yeah.
I think we're all pretty passionate about this topic nowadays because it's being pushed so heavily, and I just heard I heard the other day that they're planning to make sure that there's or they were talking about what it would take to have a protocol for every single man, woman, and child alive on Earth, right? And they're planning to at least have it available, and once it's all available for everyone to have it, then that's when I can see them starting to force people in a much more kind of totalitarian way. So, it's a pretty sobering topic, and it's I think important to talk about.
It really is, and it's tempting to get into fear. It really is, with everything that happens, because lines are being drawn in the sand. I mean, we have friends and loved ones that are being challenged at work, where everybody at work has already gotten the pokey poke, and they're the outcast. Oh, you're not, and there's all this pressure for them to become, and the incentives that are being given right now for everybody to do it, lottery tickets, lap dances, beer, all this crazy stuff that is being offered to take it, on top of the peer pressure. It's like, wow, the lines are being drawn in the sand for sure. And it's hard to even see now legally what our rights are, because the whole justice system is also operating in fear, because the people that would be in charge of the justice system, to include attorneys that you might want to try to hire to fight for you, because people are trying to violate HIPAA laws and stuff like that, and discrimination against you because whether you have it or not. Well, they're just as brainwashed, so lines are being drawn in the sand now. I don't know that this is the mark of the beast, but it's certainly a run up to it. Without a doubt, we're seeing that happening right now. So how close are we? Can this all be turned around? I have no idea. I want to pray that it can be. I have no idea, but a lot of my own views that people have listened to me for a while know that I've been saying for quite some time that I thought I would die of old age before Christ returns. Well, I'm rethinking that because back when I was saying that, there were too many things in my mind that had to happen, and in my mind it was going to take quite a bit longer for them to happen, and then 2020 happened, and you could see how quickly all those things that I thought was going to take quite a bit more time happened very quickly. Now I'm looking around and going, I don't see much more that does need to be fulfilled for, the stuff to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, I saw a meme recently of a guy who's like playing out each role of people who took the different protocols. So he's like, there's he's standing across the road from this guy. The guy has like hair covering his forehead, and he it's like 2 years after 2020 or something like that, and he flips his hair and he's got like a third eyeball. And the guy's like, oh hey, you got the Pfizer, right? And he's like, yeah. And then he's like standing there and he pulls out a tail from behind his back. He's like, yeah, I got the Moderna, the Moderna. And he's showing off his tail. And then they both they're like, oh yeah, I'm just glad we didn't get the other one. And then they start like making like a weird face, and then they both look all serious, and they're like, uh-oh, here comes the J&J. And they look down the road, and it's like this dude like like galloping down the road without a shirt on. But it was just, it's crazy, because it's almost like people recognize that there's something up with this whole thing, and now you just have to choose what random genetic mutation lottery you want to go with, because there's 4 or 5 different protocols out there, and it's it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. All right, Juan, we've got about 30 minutes left here, and love to hear your thoughts on this week's Torah portion, Half Torah Prophets, and or anything that you heard us talking about in the previous segments here.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. I have few things to share, you guys, but just to continue with the topic you were discussing now, the whole situation worldwide is getting very difficult, and the time ahead is going to be very tough, and we need to hold fast on the hand of Yahuwah. Just to tell you what's going on in my country, it was announced, I think, last week, is it's going to be implemented starting next week, a mobility pass. So basically, everybody that has the job is going to be able to freely move in different regions or places of the country. They are also talking about the green passport for international movement, mobility, and things like that. So, if we want to see what's going to be the whole situation in the coming months or years, is just to see what's going on in Israel today. That is going to be the first one to implementing these kind of things. And I do believe, as you guys, that maybe this is not the mark of the beast, but it's a tremendous precursor of what's going to happen. Because, everything is in place in order to have the set of control over the freedom and the liberty of the people to move easily anywhere. So we need to be attentive of what's happening. And what you said, Rob, is really important. You know, I have been sharing with you guys that I have a secular job, and I can see this as this pressure going on and increasing every day to the people to take it. And you know, and also it's amazing to see the social separation. You know, there are certain part of the society that is pro this thing, that is pushing really hard to the people to start taking it. And this kind of separation and division, every time that I read comments or things like that, for me, it's impossible not to think on the words of Mashiach saying that even a home is going to be divided. Mm-hmm. And it's also, it's immediately I think on what's happened during the Golden Calf situation with the line draw on the land and the soil, and the division between the people. So I think we are living in those days. It was funny to hear your comment, Rob, that maybe you were thinking in the past that they would take years and years for these things to happen, for the second coming. And we were discussing even here in Virtual House in the past about this different position. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think we don't know what's going to happen, but everything is in place in order to get even worse and to have all the prophecies to be fulfilled. I do still believe that there are certain things to happen before, based on the timeline of events, but we cannot deny that everything that's happening in the world is you know, it's just to prepare even more the scenario to what's going to happen this year. And I have been saying this for a while. I think it's going to be important. Every time that we are getting closer to the fall feast, I think September, October time from the Gregorian, I think we will see important things happening on the world. And no doubt in the coming years, it's going to be even worse. So this is not to fear mongering. It's not to feel ourselves in fear. To the contrary, it is written in Thessalonians that we are children of the day, not children of the night. So by knowing this and understanding the time and the season, we're going to be able to understand the time that we are living, and in order to be prepared. Not to feel fear, is just to understand that if we are under the shadow of Yahuwah, by taking the hands of Yahushua HaMashiach, we have nothing to fear. We were discussing here at home, I think it was yesterday, that it's interesting to see the times that we are living now, and it's easy to feel fear, but it's just to look into the past, to see what happened with the prophets, what happened with the servants of Yahuwah in the past, what happened with Mashiach itself, what happened with the disciples. All of them were persecuted. All of them. So, but even during persecution, they hold fast to the faith. They hold fast, looking into the north, to the prize, the kingdom of Elohim, the kingdom of heavens. And you know, now we can hold fast in the hand of Yahushua, no matter that it could be pressures coming, and I think the pressure is already here. Persecution will come. You know, we need to understand that we have the examples of the servant from the past, that even through trials and persecution, they continue in the faith. They continue walking in the way of Yahuwah. So I think this is the most important thing that we need to remember in our minds, to hold fast in our heart the faith of the way of Yahuwah, and we have the perfect example of our Mashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach, the one leading us in the way. So just to share with you guys, here in my country, the situation is getting even worse than difficult. So regarding the portion, just a few points that I wanted to share with you today, and there is an interesting picture of Mashiach here, and somehow it's connecting to something that I have been sharing in the past about the role of Yahushua being a judge or a melech and a kohen gadol, a priest. So if we go to the portion in Numbers, the Midbar, chapter 1, verse 2 and 4, it says the following: take a census of all the congregation of the children of Israel by their clans, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, every male head by head. From 20 years old above, everyone going out to the army in Israel, number them by their divisions, you and Aaron. So basically, the instruction of Yahuwah is that Moshe and Aaron, they needed to go and to start taking this census over the people. So we see the two roles here. It's you and Aaron, Moshe and Aaron. We see the judge, the shofet in Hebrew, and the priest, the kohen in Hebrew. So the two roles working together in order to accomplish what Yahuwah was talking about. And just to continue, there's an interesting thing, and this is going to be connected, and that's why it's so important to mention it now. It's going to be connected to something else that I will share in a minute. Is when we read here in the verse 3, that it says, number them by their divisions or by the armies. The Hebrew word there is sebaot. And you know, there is an expression throughout the many verses in the scripture. In Hebrew is said Yahuwah Sebaot. In English is Lord of Hosts. So here divisions or armies is exactly the same word that is talking about the title of Yahuwah Sebaot. As in, it is really interesting because it's talking about Sebaot in this case regarding the divisions and the armies of Israel. And this is gonna make more sense in just a minute when I will share about the Israel and the stars. So if we continue reading, basically we see that the first instruction before taking the census is that in the verse 4 it says, a man from every tribe should be with you, each one on the head of his father's house. So we see basically three roles here. We see the role of the judge, in this case Moshe, the role of the priest, Aaron, and also we see a leader per each one of the tribes, basically 12 people. So, and we know that Yahushua chose 12 people, 12 disciples. And the interesting thing is that we see also a second figure during the time of Yahushua on earth. And what was that second figure? Was John the Baptist. So when I was reading this in the past, it wasn't impossible for me to see the parallelism here of what Yahushua did, selecting and calling out in the same way that Moshe and Aaron was calling out the heads of the father houses, 12 people, in the same way that Yahushua HaMashiach was calling out from the midst of the people, 12 men, in order to select them to start his ministry. And also a role of John the Baptist that we have been discussing here in Virtual House Church about the genealogy of John the Baptist, is that he is from the seed of Aaron, and he was most probably the rightful high priest. So the parallelism here is for me is very direct and really interesting. So if we go back to the same topic and going down in the same chapter to the verse 16 and 18, there is an interesting description of the role of these 12 men, and it says the following, talking about the 12. These are the ones called from the congregation, leaders of their fathers' tribes, heads of the thousand of Israel. And keep in mind this description, heads of the thousands of Israel. You know, in the parallelism of these men that are heads of the thousand of Israel, I found what Yahushua told to the disciples, and this is in the book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 27 and 28. And it says the following, then Kepha, Peter, answering said to him, see, we have left all and followed you. What then shall we have? And Yahushua said to them, truly I say to you, when the Son of Adam sits on the throne of his esteem, you who have followed me on the rebirth shall also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So, it's so important, and from my point of view, it's so interesting to see that basically who were the ones calling out the congregation and assembling the congregation were the judge, the Kohen Hagadol, and 12 people. And it's exactly what's happening in the parallel, in correlating to what happened with Yahushua and the 12 disciples, is that basically Yahushua, with the foreshadow of the Kohen Hagadol, in this case, John the Baptist, with 12 people, they were the one starting to assembling the congregation. And this is exactly what has been happening throughout the years. And we are expecting, the final regathering that in the second great Exodus. So we see this parallelism, but it's important to notice about the head of the divisions, it's about, and also there are the heads of the 1,000. So when we talk about exactly the same and parallelism, and we go to the chapter 3 of Bamidbar Numbers, and this is in basically the order of the camping on the wilderness in the desert. It's interesting to see the way that everybody was camping around the Mishkan and the tabernacle, but also it's interesting to see the way that the Levites were camping in different places. But there was one specific place that there was not being taken by the Levites, and this is the place of the east. So there are a few words that Yahushua spoke about, and I want to go to those words first, and then to connect it to this portion. So let's go to the book of John, chapter 10, verse 7 to 9. And it says the following. Yahushua therefore said to them again, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. Whoever enters through me, he shall be saved, and shall go in and shall go out and find pasture. So we know this passage by heart, and Yahushua, we know that he's the door he's mentioning here. And it's interesting to see what is a door. It's a door in order to go in, to enter in, or to go out. And this is exactly the description that he's doing for himself. I am the door, and through me you can go in and can go out. And in the same book, there is an additional description of Yahushua in the chapter 14. And we all know this by heart as well. In the verse 6, John 14:6, it says the following. Yahushua said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So again, Yahushua is talking about that he is the way. He is the way to the Father. In order for us to go to the Father, we need to go through the door and also through the way to the Father. So what's the connection to the portion? And this is the part that I found that just before joining really interesting, is what is written in the book of Numbers, chapter 3, verse 38, and is related to the east side of the tabernacle. The east side of the tabernacle was reserved for a specific role, specific group of people. And it's written, it says the following. And those who were to come before the dwelling place, the tabernacle, on the east, before the tent of appointment, were Moshe, the judge, and Aaron, the Kohen, the priest, and his sons, guarding the duty of the set-apart place and the duty of the children of Israel. But the stranger who came near was to be put to death. So what's the picture that I saw here, and I found it really amazing, is that who were the ones guarding the entrance to the tabernacle was the judge, was the Kohen and the Kohanim, the priest, the high priest, and the judge. And in this case, the judge is also the previous role of the king, the melech in Hebrew. So if we understand the words of Yahushua saying, I am the door, I am the way to the Father, who was in the tabernacle, in the center of the tabernacle was the presence of Yahuwah, and who was guarding the entrance to the tabernacle was these two roles, important roles. So basically, saying in other words, Yahushua was saying, I am that one. I am that one that is guarding the entrance in the east side of the tabernacle. I am the one, the door, and the way to enter to the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the Holy of Holies, where the Father is. So the parallelism between what Yahushua said and how this is basically is the set, the diagram of the how everybody was camping is so amazing, and for me it's very direct. So moving on to another topic that I found really interesting, and I want to share with you something that I was sharing in my channel a few years ago about the calendar. And we are not going to talk specifically about the calendar, but it's a study, a part of the study of the calendar. Let me share my screen with you. Let's see if I can put a presentation here. So, Rob, tell me if you are able to see my screen.
It's black at the moment, but
it's black?
Yeah, it's just black.
Okay, let me stop sharing. You know, unfortunately, I'm not at home now, so I don't have two screens like always, so it's not easy. Let's see if I can share my screen. Desktop. Start sharing.
Yep, I can see it now.
Yes. Can you see now?
I can, yep.
Okay, perfect. So, you know, I did this study some years ago. It's about the stars. It's part of the study of the calendar. I was taking a look on the correlation between Israel and the stars. And why I'm bringing this, because part of the study was exactly related to the chapter 2 of this portion, chapter 2 of Numbers. So, you know, there are many places where the Yahuwah basically is talking about the stars. You know, we have this in Genesis chapter 1, when he's talking about the Todd, the signs, and he's talking about the great light, the lesser light, and also the stars. And, you know, also it's written in the book of Job that Yahuwah Elohim declares that he created all the constellations. You know, we know this verse by heart. And I'm not going to read it because I want to go to few other slides that are coming. So let me go to the next one. We see also in the chapters 37 of Genesis, the first dream of Joseph, when he see the 11 stars, the sun, the moon, and the 11 star was representing somehow his brothers, was representing the tribes of Israel. And also we see a reference of Israel, the seed of Abraham, compared to the stars of heaven. So there are multiple connections. What's my point here? There are multiple connections between Israel and the stars. And I remember a few years ago in Virtual House Church, I think it was in 2017, Rob, we were discussing about this point, and you brought these books on the screen about all the stars, or the gospel in the stars. There are multiple books that are bringing this topic to the table. So when I was studying this, you know, I exactly came to the chapter 2 of this portion, and it was the pattern of Israel camping on the wilderness, and it's exactly what is written over here. So I'm not going to read it entirely because I think everybody already did it. If not, you need to do it in the coming hours you have on Shabbat. But there is certain pattern, you know, a certain group of tribes going to the east side, other one to the south, other one to the west, another one to the north. So basically the pattern, I have it over here. And And basically, at the center is the tabernacle. No matter if you believe it's a circle or it's a rectangle, it doesn't matter in this case. But we have in the circle 4 parts, basically the east, the west, the north, and the south. This is exactly, basically, a depiction of what is written in the chapter 2. And we have one leader of the first side, and this leader is Yehuda, or Judah. And we have 2 other tribes camping with Judah in the east. The same is happening with the south, with the Reuben being the leader of that position. And also we have Ephraim in the west being the leader of that place. And in the north side, we have Dan being the leader of the place. And just to comment here, and I didn't highlight it in red like I always do, but if we read in the verse 9, when he's talking about the register one of the camp of Yehuda, according to their divisions, these depart first. And in the coming portions of Bemidbar Numbers, we will study about the way that they were departing from the camping. But here we have a reference that Yehuda was the one departing first. Mm-hmm. How this is so relevant to the understanding of the constellation and the stars is basically when we read the book of Hanoch, the book of Enoch, in the chapter 82,
very cool,
verse 4 and verse 14. And I want to read it here, basically what is written here. It says, with the heads of thousands. And remember what we read about the 12 heads of the father houses. They were called the heads of thousands as well. With the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, together with the 4 which are intercalated, which divided the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them men shall be at fault and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Also men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately, for they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded forever. One in the first portal, and one in the third, and one in the fourth, and one in the sixth. And the year is completed in 364 days. And these are the order of the stars, which go down in their places, and in their appointed times and festivals and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter at their times, in their orders and in their seasons, in their months, in their period of dominions, and in their positions. Therefore, leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the order who divided the month, and for the 360. There are heads over thousands who divide the days, and for the 4 intercalary days, they are the leaders which divide the 4 parts of the year. So basically, if we use the same graphic, we see the year divided in 4 portions: the spring, summer, fall, and winter. No matter that in the scripture, basically, and this is important, scripture reveals that it's only 2 seasons. It's winter and summer. And the spring and fall is somehow similar to what's happening during morning and evening. Mm-hmm. And very small, but somehow it's related to the same 2 seasons. Okay? And we see a first leader here, second leader, third leader, and fourth leader. So if we compare, basically, we have this distribution in the camping, on the desert, in the tabernacle, and we have this distribution based on what is written in the book of Enoch. So I'm gonna jump this one because it's related to what is coming in the chapter 10 and 8. Let me skip these slides. But in summary, if we compare all the previous information, basically the book of Hanoch, the Enoch, and what's happening with Israel, we have in the book of Enoch that the year is divided in 4 seasons according to Hanoch, Enoch. And what we are reading here is that basically Israel was camping divided in 4 areas: east, south, west, and north. Also in the book of Enoch, we see 4 heads, leader of thousands, in this case stars, being their intercalary days. And we see 4 heads, tribes dividing the camp. And who are the 4 heads? Is Yehuda, Reuben, Ephraim, and Dan. And also we see in the book of Enoch that the stars led by the 4 heads enter at their times, in their orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their period of dominion, and in their position. So there is an order in who in the way that these 4 leaders are going in or going out. And we see exactly the same in the case of Israel. The tribes led by the 4 heads were commanded to present their contribution and to depart in a specific order and in their positions. So the first head of thousands and the responsible to start the procession was the tribe of Yehuda. We just saw it in the chapter 3. What is the sign of the symbol of the tribe of Yehuda? Is basically Yehuda is the lion. We know all of this. Yahushua is the lion of the tribe of Judah. So when we see the constellation, we know that there is a constellation being recognized by everybody as the lion. And I have a few pictures here from the 2017 during the equinox season. This was on 21st of March 2017. And the first one is from my place, from Santiago. And this is exactly, the east, the north, and the west was exactly at the moment of the sunset. And we see here the first constellation in the sky in the east is the constellation of the Leo.
Nice.
The lion.
Very cool.
We see exactly the same, in other places. This is in Sydney, Australia. Exactly the same pattern, the constellation of the lion. The same thing we see in Dallas. Okay, here the constellation of the lion on the same day, and here I think it's in Jerusalem, also the constellation of the lion. So, there's no doubt in my heart, in my mind, that there is a direct correlation between the stars, the constellations, and what is written and the tribes of Israel. I didn't continue doing this study to see what could be the other signs of the other tribes, but the parallelism are so natural and so direct that it's impossible to have too much doubts on this, and it requires more study for sure, just to see how to connect the other tribes to the constellations.
That's very cool, man. I love stuff like that. That's very cool.
Wow. That made me think of that verse in Daniel 12 that says, "Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever."
Yeah.
And the whole leaders of thousands, hundreds, tens. I wonder if that's a parallel to something future in regards to the least and the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, and how the authority is kind of divvied out in the future.
Yeah, and when we talk about the divisions and the Lord of Hosts, Yahuwah Sebaot, we see other parallelisms in the scripture, and I'm wondering, in this case, Israel as a correlation or a picture, foreshadow on the messengers on heaven, the angels. Because when we talk about Yahuwah Sebaot and the armies of heavens, we're talking about the stars, but we know that the stars, according to the book of Enoch, are angels, messengers. So could it be that Israel somehow, in the same way that we see the tabernacle and also we see the temple, that we know there is a temple in heaven, the same thing we see with the Jerusalem. Jerusalem, in Hebrew is called Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is a plural word. It's not singular. Once I asked somebody in one trip to Israel why they were calling it Jerusalem and not Jerusalem. And the guy was a Jewish guy. He was telling me it's because we believe there is 2 Jerusalem, one on earth and one on heaven.
Yeah,
it's exactly how Paul is describing it. So even in the city of Yahuwah, we see Jerusalem from the earth and Jerusalem from the heaven. So could it be that in this case, and actually the Dead Sea Scrolls talk a lot about this. We see the priest on earth, but also we see a priest on heaven. And who are the Levites and the priests on heavens are the messengers. That most probably, and more than most probably, I think is a fact. They are helping and supporting Yahushua HaMashiach, our Kohen HaGadol, in serving Yahuwah on the true temple on heaven. So the only fact that is mentioning the head of 1,000 or the divisions, it's about because, this parallelism between heaven and earth. The last thing, and I will just thought that for me was really, really interesting and important, is about the role of the Levites. And we see in let me look for it. I think it's in the chapter 2, Numbers. No, I cannot find it. But basically, let me speak about. We see that the Levites were taken, and there is a specific expression that I didn't took the note in the right way. That basically they were commanded to camp around the tabernacle, and the purpose for them to camp around the tabernacle is in order to avoid the wrath of Yahuwah to come over the people, upon the people of Israel. So this is in the verse, chapter 1, verse 52 and 53. And it says, "And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, everyone by his own camp, everyone by his own banner, according to their divisions." Again, it's the same word, Sebaot. "But the Levites camp around the dwelling place of the witness, so that there be no wrath on the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall guard the duty of the dwelling place of the witness." So when I saw this, I immediately thought in the role and the purpose of Israel. In this case, reflected in the role of the Levites. It basically separating is a circle of protection, to say so, separating the righteous and the Kodesh, the set apart that is inside the Mishkan tabernacle, from the rest that is sinful. There are sin among the people, but they're needed to guard and to protect. That's why they were around the tabernacle, to protect and do this separation between the set apart and the sinful. And I was wondering, because in the same portion we see the exchange between the firstborn and the Levites. So could it be that this role of protection to avoid the wrath of Yahuwah is one of the purpose and the roles of Israel? In this case, that because of the replacement was given to the Levites, but originally most probably was part of the role of the 12 tribes of Israel. So thinking from that point of view, I'm wondering if our role it should be that one. We were discussing about what's going on in the world today, and Jay, you were bringing, I think, this passage about that we need to lead people to righteousness, and we know that the Levites not only protecting and camping around the tabernacle, also they were the one, together with the priests, to teach the people the way of Yahuwah. And how to avoid the wrath of Yahuwah is by following the way of Yahuwah. So could it be that in this case, just taking a look in these verses, we can see the real role and the purpose of Israel is in order to protect and separate the Kodesh, the set apart, from the unclean, the clean with unclean, and also to teach the way of Yahuwah in order to avoid the wrath to come. We know that the wrath of Yahuwah will come to the world. This is what is written, and I think it's coming sooner than later, based on what we were discussing. But by looking into this picture, at least in my mind, we see clearly what is our role. Our role written in several places. And looking also in the parallelism and the correlation of Yahushua being these two roles, the judge and also the Kohen, with the 12 disciples, in the same way with the 12 heads, bringing this light and bringing this separation, and not only putting a separation wall, is also bringing the way and the door, teaching the people the way of Yahuwah, and also protecting separating the clean from the unclean. I don't know, just thoughts, guys, that when I read this, it came to my mind, and I saw the parallelism. And that's it. That's what I had to share, guys. I think, for me, it was an interesting portion. I'm preparing myself to celebrate Shavuot tomorrow, according to the calendar that I'm following. And, when I saw this description about the camping around the tabernacle, it came immediately to my mind that everybody was camping at Mount Sinai, during Shavuot. So it was amazing to see the connection about the camping and the process of how the heads of the 1,000 and the different tribes of Israel were around the presence of Yahuwah in the same way that they were during the Feast of Shavuot. So that's it, Rob and Jake. I don't know if you have any comments or something to complement.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to comment on that. Although while Jake was talking earlier, I was feverishly going through the names and looking up the definitions of them. So I think I got it all figured out here. This is what I came up with. So if you just do the sons of Jacob, you have Reuben, see his son, Simeon, hearken and listen. Judah, he shall be praised. Issachar, he shall bring a reward. Zebulun, dwelling. Ephraim, I shall be doubly fruitful. Manasseh, causing him to forget. Benjamin, son of my right hand. Dan, judge. Asher, happy. Gad, fortune, or my invader. Naphtali, my wrestling. The leaders that were chosen. Eliezer, my God is a rock. Shelumiel, at peace with God. Nashon, the diviner. Nathaniel, given of God. Eliab, my God is father. Elishama, my God is a hearer. Gamaliel, the recompenser is God. Abidan, father of the judge. Ahazier, brother of help. Pagiel, event of God. Eliasaph, God is adder. And Ahira, brother of Jehovah. They were sons of these guys. Shadur, the Almighty is fire. Zurishaddai, my rock is the Almighty. Aminadab, people of the willing giver. Zuar, he was belittled. Helon, travail stricken, rampart very strong. Amihud, people of majesty. Padahzar, the rock is redeemed, or has redeemed. Gideoni, my cutter down. Amishadai, people of the Almighty. Akron, their trouble. Deuel, know ye God. Enan, their fountain. So these are the sentences that I came up with from that. So just the sons of Israel in the birth order, and this is the order in Numbers chapter 1. This order changes in Numbers chapter 2 because it's the order of the going out of the camp. So that would be a homework assignment for people to rearrange the names to see what the sentences come out to, because the sentence will be different. But in the birth order, or in the Numbers 1 order, we have, see a son, hearken and listen, he shall be praised, for he will bring a reward. Dwelling with me, I shall be doubly fruitful, causing me to forget. Son of my right hand, judge happily the invader who wrestles with you / me. So that's the sons of Israel. The people that were chosen to represent the 12 tribes, their names mean, my God is a rock, at peace with God, a diviner, given of God, God is Father, God is a hearer, a recompenser is God, Father of the judge, brother of help, event of God, God is the adder of the brother of Yahuwah. Almighty, and they are the sons of these guys right here. So the sons of the fathers of the ones that were chosen would be, the Almighty is fire, my rock is the Almighty, people of the willing giver, he was belittled, travailed and stricken, people of majesty, the rock has redeemed, my cutter down, people of the Almighty, their trouble, know ye God, their fountain. And when you put it all together in the order that's given of the sons of Jacob, with the person that is chosen to represent the sons of Jacob and their father, in that order you get, see a son, my God is a rock, the Almighty is fire. Hearken and listen, at peace with God, my rock is the Almighty. He shall be praised, the diviner for the people of the willing giver. He will bring a reward, given of God, but he was belittled. Dwelling, my God is Father, travail stricken, rampart very strong. I shall be doubly fruitful, my God is a hearer of the people of majesty. Causing him to forget, my recompenser is God, the rock has redeemed. Son of my right hand, Father of the judge, my cutter down. Judge, brother of help, people of the Almighty, happy event of God, their trouble. My invader, God is the adder, so know ye God. My wrestling, the brother of Yahuwah, who is their fountain. So that's just what I came up with real quick while multitasking and listening to Jake. So it'd be kind of interesting to do the same exercise with the going out order of the camp, because there's probably something significant there. But I just find that fun. It's a fun exercise, and I'll put the link in the chat room again for people if they want to use the same resource. They can do so. Let me go back here. At BibleCenter.org is where it is, or you just go on Amazon and order the book, a Dictionary of Scripture Proper Names by J.B. Jackson. That's this book right here, which is always handy nearby. So it just kind of adds to it. And I think if you add that to the constellation study that Juan was bringing out, there's probably even more there to look at. So pretty cool stuff. All right. Any final thoughts either one of you have before we close out here?
That's all for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, praying all the time. Time are getting difficult, so we need to keep praying for everybody, all the body of Mashiach everywhere. And as I said at the beginning, we hold fast to His way.
Yeah, absolutely. So much the more in these days, right? Okay, all right, then I will close us out here with the Aaronic blessing as sung by Jake Grant and Adam Fink from Parable of the Vineyard.
יברכך יחוה וישמרך יאר יחוה פניו לך וחונקה יישא יחוה פניו לך ויעשה לך שלום יישא יחוה פניו לך ויעשה לך שלום ויעשה לך שלום ויעשה לך שלום. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
Awesome. And Juan Carlos, you want to take us out with the Spanish version?
Yeah, sure. It says like this. Yahuwah te bendiga y te guarde. Yahuwah haga resplandecer su rostro sobre ti y tenga de ti compasión. Yahuwah alce sobre ti su rostro y te dé paz. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thanks, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you back